From the far reaches of space to the darkest places on Earth, join us as we explore the haunted, the cryptid, the creepy, and more. Exposing Reality Radio presents the Spectral WOLFPACK Show, your paranormal nightmare, with your host, Alexander Bobolinski.
Hey guys, and welcome to the Spectral WOLFPACK Show. It's been a hell of a day for me. I don't know about you guys, but lately things just seem crazy. So I got some big news. Saturday there's going to be I'm doing a giveaway on my YouTube channel, and the rules for that are pretty simple. It'll all be listed in that video when it drops on Saturday. I think it's dropping around 3 p.m. Central Time. So, as I've said before, you can listen to any previous shows on the Spreaker. They're all there. They're also available for download. Today we have my good friend Louis O. Powell IV. He's a researcher, writer, and blogger concentrating on the ghost lore of the American South. Now, Louis.
Hey.
What is up, my man?
Not a whole lot. I haven't had as hellish of a day as you have, I'm sure.
It's been quite a day. I don't even want to talk about what happened today. That's how bad it's been.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. It'll get better. Just I've been excited for this all day though, because last time we had a great talk on the YouTube.
Yes, and, we did.
So I wanted to have you again on here. Also, I figured I'd bring you in pretty fast because I know me and you can talk for hours, but we'll try to keep it down. Try to keep it down to one.
Okay, that's great.
So, what have you been up to lately?
For me, I've just been trying to do a lot of blogging.
Yeah.
I'm at the moment working on my entry that I did back in 2010 on the University of Tennessee in Knoxville, and that is a campus that is just crawling with ghosts. And I did an article about it years ago and actually just discovered that the University of Tennessee actually used me as a source
wow.
when writing an article on the campus ghosts. So I was kind of excited about that, but I've started looking at the article again and realizing that I really need to go back and do some updating and rewriting and editing. So that's what I've been working on over the past few days. I also have some book projects that I am working on, including one that is a county-by-county a book that will include a ghost story for every county in Alabama.
Oh, yeah.
But that is turning out to be a kind of a long-term project.
Yeah.
And so, we'll see when that gets published. I have several other book projects that kind of keep popping up and saying, you need to work on me first. And so I'm going out and doing a little bit of work here, a little bit of work there, and I also have a book that it's still kind of in the thinking stages, but I have a particular love of Western North Carolina, so I'm considering doing a book on Western North Carolina, and perhaps once that is finished, I can work on the Piedmont area of North Carolina and then do a book on the coastal North Carolina area as well.
Yeah.
So, there's a possibility that there may be 3 books coming out about North Carolina. We'll just see how much work those take and just how long it takes to actually get those done.
I love North Carolina. I haven't done too much there. I've been to like the Devil's Tramping Ground, and of course Asheville. Like I've been to like the Riverside Cemetery, and
Yes. Did you have any experiences at the Devil's Tramping Ground?
I only stayed for a little bit. Like I wanted to camp there, but I was on my way to Wilmington, and I had to be there for an appointment. So like I didn't get to camp. I didn't get to camp there, but I want to go back and do that. Some people in the video that I put out, some people said they saw a hooded figure in the woods, but I couldn't really point it out in the video. But several people said they saw it. One thing that was weird to me was that the circle really was clear. Like there was no trash or anything in the circle, but in the woods surrounding it there was. Which kind of goes with the legend, you know, the devil dances around the circle and kicks everything out or whatever.
Yes.
And it's definitely an interesting place. Like I want to do an overnight though. It'd be great.
And what is fascinating is North Carolina has several places similar to the Devil's Tramping Ground. There's another location near the old town of Bath, North Carolina, and that's down on the coast. Bath is one of the earlier towns that was established during the colonial period, and Bath was later mostly abandoned. There are still several buildings standing there, and those have been preserved as part of a state park. But there is a legend about a gentleman who evidently he had a love for horses, and he loved racing on his horse. And at some point, this gentleman ended up meeting this mysterious stranger that appeared in town.
Yeah.
And the stranger threatened, bet him that on a horse race. And so these two guys went on a horse race, and the mysterious stranger turned out to be the devil. And at some point towards the end of the horse race, the other guy who was racing the devil ended up having his horse throw him, and he ended up going headfirst into a tree and dying. But the devil left his hoof prints in the area where this gentleman was killed. And those are actually, from what I understand, they are on private property. But people do go out and visit these, and those appear in the stories behind these hoof prints appears in quite a bit of the North Carolina folklore that has been documented.
Yeah.
And I presume they are probably still there. And supposedly people will go and drop, trash or things in the hoof prints and then come back a short time later and those have been cleared. So that's a really interesting place. But there's also a place in Ashe County, North Carolina, which is kind of in the northern western corner of the state. And it's a place called the Devil's Stairs.
Yeah.
And this is a section beside the road that was actually cleared as part of the railroad coming through the area. And supposedly in doing the blasting with dynamite that they were doing, one of the workers was killed somewhere in that area. And but there have been all of these reports of paranormal activity. I mean, including people picking up mysterious strangers along the road, and the strangers disappear in the back seat, and stories like that. So, North Carolina really has a wealth of these fascinating places to talk about.
Yeah. Have you heard about the the 40-acre rock in South Carolina?
No. Well, is that the place that I think it was involved in a Revolutionary War battle?
Possibly. I'm not sure about that, but the reason I was bringing it up is because there's a thing there they call it like the Devil's Stomping Ground, and it's like similar to the hoof prints, but there's like supposedly these like three-toed giant footprints in the rocks. I went there and I could never find them, but I read about this in it's like in the Weird Carolinas books, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm looking it up right now, and I think it's one of these places I probably have on my South Carolina spreadsheet, but
yeah.
I don't know that I've really looked into it far enough. And the three-toed thing makes me think of the. Are you familiar with the creature of the skateboard swamp?
Yep. Me and my friend were just talking about that. How that's what that reminded us of. And my friend John, he does the Scary Cast, and he lives over in that area, so he's doing the Lizard Man Fest this year. And and he did a column, and he actually there's like an article on Smithsonian about this this creature that used to live around the Carolinas, and they call it the Carolina Butcher. And if you search for that, you'll see the article and everything. And it's like this it's like a crocodile that walks on two legs, and John thinks that might be what people are seeing out there. And it's pretty interesting because when I saw it, I was like, yeah, that could be. That's pretty. If I ran into that thing, I would. I'd have to change my pants. We'll say that. But I want to see it.
I probably would. I would be there with you.
But
and that reminds me. I was doing some research recently and came across. Are you familiar with the Beast of Bladenboro?
No, I don't think so.
In North Carolina.
I don't think so.
It was a creature that there were a string of deaths of animals, livestock, I would presume, in the area of Bladenboro, North Carolina, which is it's near Wilmington. And let's see, this happened in the winter of 1953 into 1954. And this was a creature that received a lot of attention, though it has somewhat been forgotten. There actually is a Wikipedia article on it. Just look up Beast of Bladenboro. And I thought to ask you about that just because of your interest in cryptids.
Yeah. So it's the Beast of, how do you say,
Bladenboro. Bladenboro.
Wow. I like the picture they have of it.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of like the whole, the picture kind of reminds me of like what I would imagine like the Wampus cat.
Yes. And actually, I ran into a reference to the Wampus cat on Sunday. My partner and I went out to Old Cahaba outside of Selma, Alabama.
Nice.
And Old Cahaba is it is the remains of what was the first capital of the state of Alabama. And it was only capital for, I think it was less than 6 years. And then they decided to move the capital to Tuscaloosa after they had some problems with flooding in the area. But the town remained intact until the Civil War destroyed part of it, and then neglect and fires have destroyed most of the rest of the town.